Just so folks know, we are still live on YouTube at the moment and recording as well. We'll get the meeting underway here in a couple of minutes when we expect the board to return from closed session. Just so everyone who hears my voice can know, we are still awaiting the board to return from closed session. We'll get started as soon as they come back. Thanks. All right, everyone, we've got the board coming back in now.
Okay. So we are waiting for our intrepid leader, it looks like.
Erica,
Yes.
before we formally restart this meeting, should I do the acknowledgement prior to item C1?
I would do it no.
Okay.
Prior to C3.
Okay, very good. That's yeah. Okay, good. Will do.
Mm-hmm.
And Alex, thank you for sending me that.
Of course. Thank you.
Okay. All right. We are going to reconvene this meeting, and this is the Pasadena Area City College District Board of Trustees meeting. Today is Wednesday, December 9th, 2020, and this is our regular business meeting number 12. And we are going to reconvene starting at agenda item C1, which is to report on action taken in closed session. A closed session meeting was held, and the topics to be discussed were listed out in the open session before we reconvened to that closed session. No action was taken by the board in that closed session. Moving on, we're going to go to a roll call. And for that, we'll ask Mr. Bucklehide to take the roll, please.
Certainly, prior to roll call, I would like to make clear for the record of this meeting, and it should be reflected in the minutes, that this Board of Trustees meeting is conducted pursuant to California Government Code Section 54953, as amended by Governor Gavin Newsom and Executive Order N-25-20, dated March 12th, 2020, in that all trustees are calling in remotely and are participating by remote video or teleconference. I will now call the roll. Student Trustee Ramirez.
Here.
Trustee Chen Lao.
Here.
Trustee Osterling.
Here.
Trustee Brown.
Here.
Trustee Silver.
Here.
Trustee Wah.
Here.
Trustee Martin.
Here.
Trustee Fellow.
Here.
I would now like to request that each trustee in turn respond to the following questions. I will start with Trustee Chen Lao. Trustee Chen Lao, can you hear me well?
Yes.
Were you able to hear our proceedings up until now?
Yes.
Do you have a copy of the agenda for this meeting?
Yes.
Next, I'd like to request that Trustee Osterling respond to the same questions. Trustee Osterling, can you hear me well?
Yes.
Were you able to hear our proceedings up until now?
Yes.
Do you have a copy of the agenda for this meeting?
Yes.
Next, I would like to request that Trustee Brown respond to the same questions. Trustee Brown, can you hear me well?
Yes.
Were you able to hear our proceedings up until now?
Yes.
Do you have a copy of the agenda for this meeting?
Yes.
Next, I would like to request that Trustee Silver respond to the same questions. Trustee Silver, can you hear me well?
Yes.
Were you able to hear our proceedings up until now?
Yes.
Do you have a copy of the agenda for this meeting?
Yes.
Next, I would like to request that Trustee Wah respond to the same questions. Trustee Wah, can you hear me well?
Yes.
Were you able to hear our proceedings up until now?
Yes.
Do you have a copy of the agenda for this meeting?
Yes.
Next, I would like to request that Trustee Martin respond to the same questions. Trustee Martin, can you hear me well?
Yes.
Were you able to hear our proceedings up until now?
Yes.
Do you have a copy of the agenda for this meeting?
Yes.
Next, I would like to request that Trustee Fellow respond to the same questions. Trustee Fellow, can you hear me well?
Yes.
Were you able to hear our proceedings up until now?
Yes.
Do you have a copy of the agenda for this meeting?
Yes.
Thank you. And finally, I'd like to request that Student Trustee Ramirez respond to the same questions. Student Trustee Ramirez, can you hear me well?
Yes.
Were you able to hear our proceedings up until now?
Yes.
Do you have a copy of the agenda for this meeting?
Yes.
I would now like to ask that any member of the Board of Trustees speak up at this time if they have not been able to clearly hear any trustee. Hearing no comment, the record should reflect that all trustees present have indicated that they were able to hear all other trustees clearly. I would next request that any trustee speak up at this time if such trustee has any reason to believe, based on voice recognition or otherwise, that any person representing themselves to be a certain trustee is not truly so. Hearing no comment, the record should reflect that no trustee has expressed doubt that any trustees are the parties participating in the teleconference. I would now like to advise the trustees and the public that any votes taken during the remote conference portion of this meeting must be taken by roll call. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Buckelheide. The next, what I would like to do is starting a new tradition for PCC and myself, and I hope this tradition will carry on to the board chairs that succeed me, and that is to start off the meeting with a land acknowledgement. And here we go. Pasadena City College is a learning community within the indigenous homelands of people who have been known as Kizh, Tongva, or Gabrielino, depending on their own preference. We acknowledge the painful history of genocide and forced removal from this land on which we gather. Let us take a moment of silence in honor of the important contributions of the stewards of this land who came before us. Moment of silence, please. PCC and its faculty, staff, and students who support student success recognize that we are all simultaneously teachers, learners, and guests on these lands. This land acknowledgement is a small part of an ongoing process of working to be in good relationship with the people of the land and embodying equity in our practices and policies. Next, I would like to move on to agenda item C3, which is the Pledge of Allegiance. And I heard a rumor that this might be the last meeting that our VP of Instruction, Dr. Terry Juni, is attending, who thankfully stayed on past his announced retirement. And Terry, if you're willing, I'd like to have you do the honors to lead us in the pledge tonight.
Thank you. I would be honored to do such. So if you could all put your hand on your heart. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation,
Under God.
indivisible, with
With
liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Dr. Junie, and thank you for your service to PCC. And again, thank you for staying on past your retirement date to effect a orderly transition. And best wishes in your future endeavors, sir.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
We are going to move on to agenda item C4, approval reordering of agenda items. Is there any requests to reorder any of the agenda items today?
Not that I'm aware of, Trustee
Oh.
Osterling.
Okay, thank you. Hearing none, we'll move on to agenda item C5, and that's introductions and recognitions. Do we have any introductions or recognitions today?
Yes, we do. As you have already noted, Trustee Osterling, this is Dr. Terry Junie's last meeting. His replacement is on the consent agenda later on, Dr. Laura Ramirez. But, you know, it's with a heavy heart that this is the last meeting with Dr. Junie, who I feel extremely fortunate to have been able to work with for the last 2 years. And I will be forever grateful that he stayed on and helped us through just a really difficult time. And he sacrificed, his family sacrificed, and I can't express how grateful I am. And that it's just been great to work with you, Terry. And, you know, we're both CIOs at heart. We, in many ways, when I walked into his office the first time, which was on December 16th, when I was visiting the campus, I walked in, I looked around, and I'm like, yep, this looks like a CIO's office. Piles of paperwork everywhere. Could tell he had about 1,000 things underway. And we sat and had a conversation about the college and about instruction. And I just knew from that moment that we were going to have a great working relationship. And again, just feel so grateful. And I am not alone in that. So I'm going to turn this over now to Stephanie Fleming.
Hi, good evening. It's good to see you all. I'd like to thank Dr. Jonas and the trustees for this time for some of us to recognize Dr. Junie. Specifically, I'd like to share a few thoughts from the team in instruction and academic affairs. Over the last few years, it has really been our privilege to work with Dr. Junie. On a personal note, I'm very, very grateful for Terry's mentorship and friendship. And here are a few things that other people would like to share with us. Micah Young tells us that Dr. Junie has been a true advocate for students in the health sciences. Through his support, PCC will be the first integrated ADN BSN program formed between a public and private educational institution. We're all very excited. Liz Wood notes that it was great having a VPI who had the knowledge and interest in curriculum to carry us through some very, very interesting times. That and his intimate knowledge of winemaking, which will be a theme. Carrie Starbird also says, thank you for the great wine recommendations and the many laughs we have shared and your faith in and support of all of the deans. You will be tremendously missed. Audrey Joseph says, Dr. Junie, I will miss your sense of humor, your love for data, and many of our craft beer conversations. I wish you enjoyable moments with loved ones. Tuk Tuk Thong Thiraj says, thank you for giving me the opportunity to pursue my leadership goals at PCC. She remembers when she came back from a leadership institute and told Dr. Junie that she had learned that she leads change from the heart. And she remembers that he smiled and replied, I'm not surprised. And then he added, but don't forget the data is important too. Jason Robinson points out that Terry can turn any problem or any question into a spreadsheet. On my first day as a dean, Terry gave me like a 3-page to-do list, and then he handed me a stack of spreadsheets and told me to go and calculate the standard deviation. And I thought he was kidding. Oh, but he wasn't. Jason goes on to say that Terry's capacity for recognizing and effectively analyzing all sides of a problem is unprecedented. More importantly, Jason explains that while his depth of knowledge is top level, Terry's leadership is grounded in service, not ego. Students are always at the center of his decision making. He does not need to always be right, and he does not require acknowledgement or praise or attention when he is. Terry is one of the kindest leaders that I have ever worked with. Isela Asageda agrees and tells us that Dr. Juni is undoubtedly an experienced and intelligent leader, but he is also courageous in showing us, and she's referring to the deans, his vulnerabilities. He showed us how he was trying to be better as a person and as a leader in a minority serving institution. That is the highest example of humility and integrity a college leader can aspire to, and I am grateful for his example. And we all are. Thank you for challenging me to be better than my previous self, encouraging me to live up to my potential, and providing me with a new opportunity to grow professionally and personally, states Lenora Rogax. Jeff Archibald comments that I am grateful to Terry for trusting his deans and creating a climate where I felt I could share my thoughts and ask questions. Because of his leadership, the deans have always been a team. And Will Sims sums it up. He says, thank you for your willingness to serve, your commitment to lead, and support to all of us. Cheers to much success in your life as a retiree. So enjoy retirement, Terry, with lots of love from your team.
And just so you know, I don't think that that Dr. Ramirez knows, but she's going to be in charge of giving us COVID updates because our microbiologist, Dr. Juni, gave us constant updates about what the real trajectory of the virus is or has been. And it's just been invaluable in our executive team. And I told Terry that I didn't believe in a Zoom retirement party, and he has agreed to come back when it's safe so we can properly send him off. I'm sorry, but just holding up a beer on Zoom is just not the same. So Terry, do you want to say anything?
Well, so that's going to be hard. I did not expect this tonight. I appreciate all those kind words. Thank you, Stephanie, and the rest of the deans. This is the 4th community college that I have worked for in the state. My memories of all of those colleges are very important to who I am and what I have learned. Pasadena City College is unique. It is an amazing place, and there are all sorts of various accolades that are attributed to this college, but it's because of the people that work here. The board needs to know that you have some of the greatest faculty that you can ever imagine. You also need to know that the deans on the academic side are truly amazing. And your executive team is as amazing, if not more so. And I know you trust Dr. Indra to lead this institution. She brings so much to this institution. And I know that what's going to happen moving forward is going to be great. What this college has been able to do during this pandemic is outright amazing. And I know that once it's done, once it's gone, things will be wonderful. She mentioned the fact that I constantly give them updates. If you don't know that about me, I used to teach microbiology when I taught. And so I guess the sad part is that I don't cherish this pandemic. I don't wish it. I want it to end. But at the same time, if I was teaching microbiology right now, I would be having the best time of my life because of all the stuff that comes with this and understanding this. And so that's what Erica's talking about, because I took that opportunity to keep the executive team grounded in response to what was happening. I'm going to miss the people that work at Pasadena City College so much. But believe me, I am so looking forward to my retirement date. The one part I guess I would say that I appreciate about the pandemic is I am currently at my retirement home in Atascadero. And while you were all in closed session, I was having a wonderful lasagna dinner with my wife and daughter and 3 of my grandkids. And so I'm looking so much forward to being able to spend more time with them and not having to worry about what's happening at this college. I know you'll all do great without me. Dr. Ramirez is a great choice. And I think that there are great things to come, to continue to come at Pasadena City College. So thank you very much for the opportunity to serve this college and its students.
Beautiful.
Berlinda has her hand up, Trustee Osterling.
Trustee Brown, you are up next. Thank you.
I just could not allow him to go without, first of all, thanking him for the wonderful, awesome job that you have done. I know this is probably the 3rd attempt that you've made to retire. And everyone is always, oh, can you wait a little longer? And you're just so gracious. You're just wonderful. And when I think of you, I think of the whole problem that I had getting Northwest Pasadena through. And if it wasn't because of Terry Jr. that says, this is what you need to do. And once he said what you needed to do, it was downhill. I will always remember that. So have a happy retirement. I know I appreciate all the work that you have done. You're an awesome man. Have a good retirement.
Excellent. Trustee Osterling, Trustee Chen Lao has her hand.
Trustee Chen Lao, you are next, Sandra.
Dr. Junie, I remember when I was first sworn in, and at that time, President Verudian said that you're the most important person that's on this campus, and not him, the president. And I know why, because you help guide the dual enrollment through La Cañada in an astounding 9 months. And that was so much fast-tracked, where the parents in San Marino started asking, well, how come La Cañada got to do dual enrollment? And so I always credit you with having that vision and navigating through the technicalities of working with the board and working with parents. And cheers to you and your retirement. May you continue to enjoy your craft beer and champagne, and and we look forward to welcome you back for the in-person retirement. Thank you so much.
Yes. Awesome.
I'll just throw out, Erica, that you should add as an agenda item a report from Dr. Osagueda in regard to dual enrollment. She gave one today at the Dean's meeting, and every trustee here should be happy because all of the districts are on except for El Monte. And John Martin, just so you know, she's in intense conversations with them, and that will probably be coming to the January, if not the February board meeting.
Excellent. Excellent. Great idea. We will have a dual enrollment update. I'll make a note.
Well, Terry, if I could, I just, the comments that all your colleagues made speak for themselves, and it's not the same to do it on a Zoom meeting as to do it in person, but I still found it very touching, all the wonderful comments that you received from your colleagues. And let's get together and have that in-person retirement party, and let's hope it's sooner rather than later. And as I've gone around the community and introduced Erica here and there, one of the comments that I've made was that this administration was the first to react to the COVID problem, and we moved very, very quickly and pivoted to online even before the state orders. And every step that we've made since then along the way has been based on science and facts. And I think we've been very sure-footed, and we've kept the students and staff and community safer as a result of that. So thank you for your microbiology training and also helping to keep the students and the faculty and the college safe. That was really important in these times. So, and thank you for all your service.
Yep, thank you. All right.
Okay, we're going to move on to agenda item C6, which is public comment, pardon me, on non-agenda items. Do we have any public comment this evening?
We do. We have two.
Okay.
Oh dear, and they disappeared. Hang on a moment, please.
No problem. We'll tap dance while we wait for you, Alex.
Why don't you do the minutes first, if you would, Mr. Chair, and then
Yes,
come back.
We'll
Thank you.
do that. We're going to move forward to agenda item C7, and I'm going to request a motion to approve the minutes for study session number 10, which we held on November 10th, 2020. And if I could be so bold, can we do a twofer and also approve our minutes for the regular business meeting number 11 held on November 10th, because these are roll call votes and we'll save a little bit of time.
Move to approve both minutes.
Okay, do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Okay, and Alex, at the same time you're looking for your public comment, you get to do the roll call vote.
I am all over it. We're going to multitask here. Student Trustee Ramirez.
Aye.
Trustee Chen Lao.
Aye.
Trustee Osterling.
Aye.
Trustee Brown.
Aye.
Trustee Silver.
Aye.
Trustee Waugh.
Aye.
Trustee Martin.
Aye.
Trustee Fellow.
Aye.
It's 7-0 with student trustee voting aye.
Okay, motion carries unanimously. Now, Alex, if you need more time, I'll forge ahead to number 9 and come back to you, or are you?
We are in business, sir. Thank you for the delay.
All right, we're moving backwards to agenda item C6, public comment on non-agenda items. Take it away, Mr. Buckelheit.
Thank you. We have two. The first is from James R. Keller. I am James Keller. In my 15th year as a part-time faculty member at PCC, PCC part-time faculty are hurting and need a health insurance benefits option. A recent survey suggests that as many as 1/2 of part-time faculty currently have no health insurance coverage. That's written in all caps. Most all other area colleges offer some kind of a health insurance benefit to their part-time faculty. I heard from a colleague, also a part-time faculty member, that they recently had a medical emergency and it will cost them 2 months of their pay from teaching here. We urge you to support this cause. Thank you. And the second piece is from Homeboy Industries, dated December 8th, 2020. To whom it may concern, Homeboy Industries provides hope, training, and support to formerly gang-involved and previously incarcerated men and women, allowing them to redirect their lives and become contributing members to our community. Homeboy works with folks through various educational courses, including GED, high school diploma, tutoring, and Pathways to College. Pathways to College assists students with the college enrollment process, connects folks through networking and direct engagement, and holds discussions around critical pedagogy, resistance, and organizing. One of our primary goals is to build our students' networks with higher education support systems via connections, relationships, and mentorship. Pasadena City College's campus support program, CORE, has been a part of our Pathways to College program for several years. Through facilitating workshops, CORE members have given our Homeboy students advice, guidance, and support. Through campus mentorship, guidance, and support, CORE has supported the success of our students beyond Homeboy on PCC's campus. Each year, CORE continues to listen to their students' needs and learn from student and community partnerships. They have gone above and beyond to provide resources on their campus, celebrate student success and uplift student voices, and network with organizations and campuses beyond their campus to build power through partnerships. Their presence on campus shows our students that they not only belong there, emphasized, but have the power to connect and create positive campus and community change. Campus support programs like CORE and student support groups like FIRST are essential as formerly incarcerated students face several campus barriers when engaging with higher education, including stigmas perpetuated by campus, faculty and staff, and student peers, as well as lack of campus-wide understanding of their experiences and lack of supportive services and spaces specifically for formerly incarcerated students. Despite programs such as EOP&S exponentially helping various student groups, services specifically for formerly incarcerated groups are also necessary, emphasized. Homeboy Industries students have benefited from student programs such as CORE and student groups such as FIRST, in addition to EOP&S, as such direct services provide student mentorship from folks who have a deep understanding of their experiences, specific support based on the unique needs of formerly incarcerated students, and a place of community, identity, and space to find comfort and community on campus. CORE assists our students with the enrollment transfer process, adding classes, connecting to various support services and faculty or staff, as well as creating peer support groups. CORE understands student experiences and the variety of needs associated with having an incarceration experience. Programs like CORE and student groups like FIRST are beneficial to our students and necessary to our students and broader community. Students deserve campus-based programs that will not only help them survive, but thrive. I have facilitated our Pathways to College program for 7 years and seen the difference specified campus support programs have made in our students' academic journeys. Additionally, higher education significantly reduces recidivism. Therefore, programs like CORE impact the PCC community as well as the broader community. I implore you to consider how imperative CORE is for the PCC campus and offer Homeboy Industries partnership and support. Please feel free to contact me with any questions. Thank you for your time and consideration. It's signed Brittany Morton, Academic Program Coordinator, with her contact information. Thank you.
Trustee Osterling?
Yes.
Can we please go back to C5, because I realized that I neglected to introduce our brand new Chief Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Officer who is with us here today, Dr. Carrie Bolin, and she's now up on the screen.
Absolutely. So we'll go back to agenda item C5, more introductions and recognitions, and Dr. Androgenis, take it away.
Okay, Carrie is here. If you want to unmute yourself, I'd love to have you say hello and speak a little bit about your background.
Sure. Well, good evening, everyone. I count it a privilege and an honor to be here this evening with you. I'm looking forward to working alongside and support and partnering with you in our efforts to advance equity and inclusive excellence. I've shared in some additional spaces that PCC has been in my vocabulary since I can remember. My grandmother served as the first Black computer programmer in the administrative office way back when. She's now 94 years old. It's her claim to fame, and then finally retired after 30 years with PCC. I remember too, as a young child, we used to, they had some programs for kids to do arts and crafts and sports during the summer, so we would spend our time on the campus. So it kind of feels like full circle coming to PCC in this particular role, and I'm looking forward to providing some leadership, some vision in and around the work that we've already been doing such a fantastic job of centering equity at the institution. So thank you so much for the invitation, and good to meet everyone.
We seem to have lost Dr. Androgenis. I think she froze up there, Trustee Osterling, so please go ahead.
Well, Dr. Bolin, again, welcome on behalf of all of the trustees, and thank you for attending tonight's meeting and speaking to us. Again, I wish we could meet in person, and that day will come, and we look forward to it when it does.
Thank you. The pleasure is all mine.
Yeah. Erica, are you back?
Yes, I'm
live?
back. Sorry about that.
Okay.
I had an internet
understood.
problem, so I'm sorry I didn't get to hear everything, but Carrie is a wonderful addition to my executive team, and so excited to have her here.
Yeah. Erica, you're breaking up. What you may want to phone in possibly. Okay, and again, welcome Dr. Bolin, and we're going to jump back forward to agenda item C9, board committees reporting out. Do we have any board committees reporting out?
I believe Trustee Silver, were you going to report out on the board goals?
Yes, we have a report from the Board Goals Committee.
Okay. Take it away, Trustee Silver.
Thank you. We met, actually, I forgot to put that in. We met recently where board goals are focusing on 3 areas: workforce, dual enrollment, and student services. We're working with Dr. Androgenis because board goals intertwine with superintendent goals. And we are looking for metrics on workforce, dual enrollment, and student services so that we have measurable goals with mile markers along the way so we know if we're making progress. Dr. Androgenis and PCC's resident data whiz, Crystal Colross, will look for some measurable data that makes sense for these 3 areas. And when we have that, we'll come back to the board and we'll have a discussion, ask for input before we create goals for ourselves. So we do want input from the rest of the board. And we would also like input from faculty, staff, and students because we all work together. We all have the same goal of improving student outcomes. One interesting thing we had in our discussion, an idea of maybe encouraging a change from thinking of student services, a student services mindset, possibly changing that to a customer service mindset. So that's an idea. And again, I'm going to bring up, I think I did last time, that there is something called Launch Board, which the chancellors, I believe the chancellor's office runs. Linda knows for sure. If you would just Google California Community College Launch Board, LAUNCH, there is a lot of data on there, and all of us are welcome to look at it and see what kind of data is available to us. And if you see something that's interesting and you think is pertinent, please let any of us on the goals committee know. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Silver. Trustee Martin, do you have a report?
I'm only reporting that we met, and the #1 topic was the TRAN, which is on agenda. So I just wanted to let everyone know we did meet and review the TRAN in advance.
All right. And when we get to that agenda item, we'll, if you could, or Dr. Bush could give a overview before we vote on that. Okay. Thank you, Trustee Martin. Okay. Any other committees reporting out? All right. Moving on to agenda item C10, board member statewide committee reports. Trustee Wah.
This is really just to report out on the what we're doing on the DEI. So,
Okay.
You know,
let me
go
just,
ahead.
pardon me, let me just interrupt. We also report out on DEI, specifically on item J2.
Oh, okay, then I will hold to that.
All right, so we'll do that at J2. Are we on any other statewide committees? I thought you were on another committee besides that.
So I am on metrics as well as workforce. So they are, workforce will probably be, they need to reform, well, not reform, and they will reorganize, let me say that. And I think Chancellor Weber is trying to see how they bring this more focus into this. I think it's been a little bit loose. Also, let me just report out that just statewide, the CCCT, that we will be sending out requests for any nominations for CCCT members. So if you know other trustees who are in other districts, encourage them to apply, and that's it.
Okay, thank you, Trustee Watt. We're now going to move to the consent calendar items, and as before, we're going to do the combined consent calendar, and in one vote, we are going to tackle items E, F, and G, and then as a separate item, we'll tackle consent calendar item H. So let me start with consent calendar E, F, and G. And before I ask for a motion, is there any request by any trustee to pull an item off the consent calendar for separate discussion? Okay, hearing none, then I'll ask for a motion for consent calendar items E, F, and G.
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay, moved and seconded. And roll call vote of the trustees, please, for consent calendar items E, F, and G. Mr. Bucklehide.
Student trustee Ramirez.
Aye.
Trustee Chin Lau.
Aye.
Trustee Osterling.
Aye.
Trustee Brown.
Aye.
Trustee Silver.
Aye.
Trustee Waugh.
Aye.
Trustee Martin.
Aye.
Trustee Fellow.
Aye.
The vote is 7-0 with student trustee voting aye.
Okay, motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Mr. Bucklehide. We're now going to move on in the consent calendar to agenda item H, which is personnel, and student trustee does not vote on personnel matters. Is there any request to pull any of these items out for separate discussion? Hearing none, I will call for a motion.
Move approval?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Roll call vote, please. Mr. Bucklehide.
Trustee Chin Lau.
Aye.
Trustee Osterling.
Aye.
Trustee Brown.
Aye.
Trustee Silver.
Aye.
Trustee Waugh.
Aye.
Trustee Martin.
Aye.
Trustee Fellow.
Aye.
Vote is 7-0. Student trustee does not vote on this item.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Bucklehide. We're moving on to agenda item I. This is action items recommended for approval. Item I1 is to adopt resolution number 669. This authorizes the district to issue a tax revenue anticipation note, also called a TRAN, not to exceed $25 million 066,375. $25,066,375. Superintendent Androgenis, do we have a presentation on this item?
I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Bush.
Okay, Dr. Bush, take it away, please, sir. You're on mute, Mike.
I apologize. This
Understood.
As Mr. Martin shared, the Budget and Audit Subcommittee had the ability to review the documents. Our bond counsel was present, Ms. Rolene, for that meeting to answer questions. The board will recall during the budget adoption, the state deferred $12.9 million in apportionments to K-12 community colleges and county offices of education. And that's funds that allowed them to cut the state obligation by 9%, but we were able to continue our operations at the same level. So that's apportionment we would have received this year that we're not receiving to next year. And at that time, we told you that we would need to borrow money for the cash flow, and that's done through a tax revenue anticipation note. This resolution authorizes us to file with the County Board of Supervisors, and in 45 days, we could then join the California School Finance Authority. We elected to go with them. They are with the state, and the California State Treasurer, Fiona May, is set up a pool for us to have reduced borrowing costs. And we're in that pool participating with K-12 and other community colleges. And we'll have reduced costs. This resolution, it has a maximum for the amount of our deferral. Our anticipated maximum deferral is $25,066,375. And I'd be happy to answer any questions the board may have.
Dr. Bush, what is the approximate anticipated interest rate on the TRAN?
We do not have that now because they haven't sold the documents yet, and we'll be looking to sell late February, first part of March. When we had presentations at ACBO, the current coupon is about 0.5%, so it's very low. It's also important to know many board members may have heard the ledge analyst has recommended that do away with the deferrals. And the resolution has the ability to undo the trans if they decide not to do the deferrals. So, and then we would have no costs. And really our only cost we're going to bear is the interest cost on this money.
That's a incredibly low interest rate, even in these low interest rate times.
Yes.
Trustee Martin, I assume that the Audit and Budget Committee is recommending that to the full board that we adopt this resolution?
Yes, we are, and did pass a resolution of the committee to do so.
Okay, thank you. Any further discussion or questions on agenda item I1? Hearing none, I will call for a motion.
Move to approve.
Second.
Moved and seconded, and roll call vote, please. Mr. Bucklehide.
Student Trustee Ramirez.
Aye.
Trustee Chen Lao.
Aye.
Trustee Osterling.
Aye.
Trustee Brown.
Aye.
Trustee Silver.
Aye.
Trustee Waugh.
Aye.
Trustee Martin.
Aye.
Trustee Fellow.
Aye.
The vote is 7-0 with student trustee voting aye.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Bucklehide. Motion carries unanimously. We're going to move on to agenda item I2. Pending state approval, this action item would authorize the award of a contract number C210001 to Ampco Contracting, Inc., formal bid number 1044. And this is for the demolition of the Paramedical Science Building, also known as the Armin Serafian and Vosloo Forum, also known as the U Building. Is there any presentation on this?
I'll again turn it over to Dr. Bush.
Okay, Dr. Bush.
We do not have a presentation, but I'd like to introduce it. We have gone out for bid just for the demolition. Following the board's approval, we'll send the documents up to the State Chancellor's office for final approval by the Department of Finance, and then we can actually begin the demolition. Our low bid of $2.5 million is $70,000 less than the architect's estimate. So we're very comfortable with that bid. And with that, I'd leave it up to the board.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Bush. Any questions for Dr. Bush? I'd just like to insert a comma here, a comment, pardon me, and that is that this action here to start the demolition of this, as we all know, is a culmination of a long series of events that have taken place since the building was red tagged in order to seek the necessary financing to demolish and rebuild the U Building, the Serafian Building. And countless people were involved in everything that's required to get these plans submitted and approved by the state. And of course, everybody in the campus community, we supported Prop 51, which authorized the funds for this. And then no sooner did we get the funds approved and our project was number one on the list, then we got the head fake, if you will, from the governor's office, and we were taken off the list. And a bunch of people stepped in and lobbied to help make that happen. And Dr. Androgenis and our former superintendent, Jack Scott, had to go up and lobby to Sacramento to get our funding back. And this story has been told before, but it bears repeating because this is the culmination of all of that, and where we're finally going to commence the demolition of the red tag building. And that's the first step on the way to rebuilding that building after this long series of events. So I just wanted to state my thanks to everybody that was involved in making this long and important step possible. So with that, I'm going to call for a motion.
Move to approve.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Roll call vote, please. Mr. Buckelheide.
Student trustee Ramirez.
Aye.
Trustee Chen Lao.
Aye.
Trustee Osterling.
Aye.
Trustee Brown.
Aye.
Trustee Silver.
Aye.
Trustee Waugh.
Aye.
Trustee Martin.
Aye.
Trustee Fellow.
Aye.
The vote is 7-0 with student trustee voting aye.
Okay, motion carries unanimously. And again, thank you to everybody that helped make this important event happen. Item I3, this is to accept the counter proposal to amend the Memorandum of Understanding, MOU, from the PACCD District, Pasadena Area Community College District, to the California School Employees Association, CSEA, Chapter 777. Do we have any presentation on this, Dr. Androgenis?
I am going to introduce Vice President Bob Blazinski to give us the background.
Okay, thank you. Bob, take it away, please, sir.
So as you know, this COVID rules and regulations have been an ever-changing thing and ever-moving. And we're trying to keep pace with some of the agreements we initially made and how those have changed over time. Basically, this is the same MOU that we approved back in April, with the exception that we discuss compensation for SRTs, which are our cleaning teams who go into spaces where individuals who may have been COVID positive, and how we were going to compensate and what the expectations for the duties were of those cleaning staff, for custodial staff. So that was in addition to our original MOU that was originally approved by all of you. I think it was back in April. That was really the only change.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Blazinski. Any questions or further discussion? Hearing none, I'm going to call for a motion. Moved and seconded. And roll call vote, please, for agenda item I3. Mr. Buckelheide.
Trustee Chen Lao.
Aye.
Trustee Osterling.
Aye.
Trustee Brown.
Aye.
Trustee Silver.
Aye.
Trustee Waugh.
Aye.
Trustee Martin.
Aye.
Trustee Fellow.
Aye.
The vote is 7-0. Student trustee does not vote on this item.
Motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Mr. Buckelheide. Item I4. This is to accept the MOU between PACCD and the Pasadena City College Faculty Association, PCCFA. And again, any presentation on this agenda item?
Again, I will have Vice President Blazinski present it.
Okay, Bob.
Okay, so what you have before you is a memorandum of understanding outlining the training and development or professional development responsibilities that the district and the FA agreed to as it relates to distance education. It is the requirements we agreed to and the compensation associated with meeting those requirements in order to teach and be given a full load. So that's what you have before you. It's similar to, once again, the other MOU that spoke to the fall semester. So this is just an addition for what we were looking for winter and spring.
All right. Thank you, Bob. Any questions or discussion on this item? Hearing none, I'm going to call for a motion.
Move approval.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Roll call vote, please. Mr. Buckelheide.
Trustee Chen Lao.
Aye.
Trustee Osterling.
Aye.
Trustee Brown.
Aye.
Trustee Silver.
Aye.
Trustee Waugh.
Aye.
Trustee Martin.
Aye.
Trustee Fellow.
Aye.
The vote is 7-0. Student trustee does not vote on this item.
Okay, motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Mr. Buckelheide. Agenda item I5. This is to approve modifications, additions, and deletions to the credit curriculum.
Motion to approve.
Do I hear a second? Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll go to a roll call vote.
Student trustee Ramirez.
Aye.
Trustee Chen Lao.
Aye.
Trustee Osterling,
Aye.
Trustee Brown,
Aye.
Trustee Silver,
Aye.
Trustee Waugh,
Aye.
Trustee Martin,
Aye.
Trustee Fellow.
Aye.
The vote is 7-0. Student trustee votes aye.
All right, motion carries unanimously. Agenda item I6. This is the institutional self-evaluation report, known as the ICER. And this is for reaffirmation of accreditation. And
as you
go ahead,
yeah.
Dr. Androgenis, please.
And as you know, it was given to you. You also had a board study session in November. And so this was given to you for your consideration. And this evening, we have Crystal Colross and Dr. Thea Alvarado, the folks who led this effort, here with us. If you have any questions before voting on this item, but I respectfully request that you accept and approve our ICER so that we can send it off and welcome the team to our campus March 8th through the 11th.
Can I please thank the people who did this? I saw this when it first came out. I thought it was an outstanding review, and a lot of work went into it. And I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion move. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Any discussion before I call for a vote? Trustee Brown.
Oh, I got a doctor.
We promoted you.
I wanted to reiterate what Trustee Fellow said. I am just so pleased with the work that was put into this report. I much appreciated the camaraderie, the way they worked together. It was just beautiful. I think we have an excellent report, and I want to commend Dr. I guess her name is Thea, and Crystal for good leadership and a magnificent work. And yes, thank you.
Okay, any other questions or comments before I call for a vote? I'll just say the report obviously was very thorough, weighing in at a hefty 319 pages. And the thing that most impressed me was I believe there were about 60 collaborators, and I can't thank all of them right here, but that also included our board accreditation committee led by Trustee Brown. So thank you to everybody that had a part in putting this important document together, and one of the important steps to our along the path to our reaccreditation. And I'm going to call for a roll call vote for this at this moment. Mr. Bucklehide, please.
You almost had me as a doctor too. I'll come back to that.
I'm promoting everybody tonight.
Student trustee Ramirez.
Aye.
Trustee Chen Lao.
Aye.
Trustee Osterling.
Aye.
Trustee Brown.
Aye.
Trustee Silver.
Aye.
Trustee Waugh.
Aye.
Trustee Martin.
Aye.
Trustee Fellow.
Aye.
The vote is 7-0 with a student trustee voting aye.
Okay, motion carries unanimously.
Yay.
Yeah, and thanks to everybody for
Good job,
helping to put
Crystal.
that important document together.
Thank you, Crystal and Thea. And Trustee Brown, who did work on it.
And Dr. Androgenis.
That concludes the action items part of the meeting, and we'll move on to the information and announcements section. The first thing we're going to have is agenda item J1, and that's the Freeman Center presentation.
Great, and I'm going to turn this over to Salvatrice Cuomo, who is going to help with the presentation and introduce you to the amazing things that are happening.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Dr. Androgenis. Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for having us today. I am joined by two of my team administrators this evening, Jason Barquero, Director of the Robert G. Freeman Center for Career and Completion, and Jacqueline Javier, Program Manager for Work-Based Learning. And tonight, we are pleased to present to you the tremendous momentum both Jason, Jackie, and their staff members have had around the objective of bridging academia and industry through the Freeman Center. at a glance, here's what we'll be reviewing, kind of what we know, how we've responded, and then a deeper dive into the functionalities of the Freeman Center and the work-based learning program itself. But before we begin, however, I think it's important to quickly share the structure of economic and workforce development and why the Freeman Center naturally fits in this division. EWD acts as a catalyst in the community by identifying, creating, and delivering work-related services that promote the growth and prosperity of business, develop the current and future workforce, and elevate the college's economic profile in the region. Our goal is twofold. One, to connect PCC students with the companies and industries that will provide them with their occupational and economic futures. And two, to provide upskilling training and support for the employees of our business community neighbors. To achieve that dual goal, EWD is built on these departments and programs that you see here, each of which channels its own efforts towards economic goals. Tonight, we will solely be focusing on the Freeman Center and the work-based learning program. So here's what we know from the feedback of our campus community and industry partners. There's a need to scale career services for all PCC students, to best prepare our students for the workforce, to centralize business engagement, to align our career services to industry demands, to centralize and develop a robust work-based learning program, to engage alumni, to increase student completion, to cross-pollinate with programs across campus, and to integrate and inform the campus community on the new world of work, all of which we've heard across our time here doing this work. And our response was the creation of the Freeman Center, a campus-wide collaborative approach to a 21st century career services model. And with that, I now turn it to the experts, Jason and Jackie.
Jason, you're muted.
Oh, and it does help if you unmute yourself. There you go.
All right.
I will start over.
Sir.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. Jason Barquero. I am the director of the Robert G. Freeman Center for Career and Completion. Thank you, Salvatrice, for the introduction. And thank you, everyone, for having me here tonight. As most of you know, if not all of you know, the Freeman Center was established last year. We're officially about a year and a half or so old now. And we went through our first full academic year last year, 1920. And that was a very exciting. And we'll go through some recap of those numbers. Early on, we established what we wanted to be, who we wanted to be, and what we wanted to do. And that was that we were committed to closing that equity gap by bridging academia and industry, as the title of this presentation, to create opportunities for students and alumni to gain that competitive advantage. Here's a little bit of some data from 2019-2020 of our first full academic year. In terms of student engagement, we were pretty busy. We engaged a total of 7,275 students throughout the year. What does that mean? That means every touch point that we had through a workshop, an appointment, a one-on-one meeting, job fairs, any events the Freeman Center hosted and were involved in, these are the touch points that we had with students. Our advisors and counselors were very busy, 4,384 total career appointments in just one academic year. In terms of employer relations, we had over 1,600 employers in our system, 471 new jobs that were posted in academic year 1920. And we had 15 career panels and forums that the Freeman Center hosted for our students, and a total of 142 recruiters that attended our 2019 annual fair. Alumni engagement is something that we're excited about that we've been launching over the last year in partnership with the PCC Foundation. We launched our new alumni PCC Alumni Network, and we had 671 alumni that actively registered that wanted to be a part of our programming, and that's increased since. And finally, but certainly not least, and we really couldn't do our job without our faculty and our deans and the partnerships that we have with them. And that those partnerships resulted in 187 total presentations that our career advising and counseling team facilitated, both in the classroom where we're invited by faculty and where faculty also brought their students to our space at the Freeman Center. And that also resulted in a total of 28 various different partnerships throughout the campus with different groups like CORE, like we heard earlier today, and other groups on campus as well, where our advising and counseling team is partnering and providing very unique counseling and advising for the students throughout the campus. So I want to switch gears a little bit and talk about about our employer recruitment, which is something that comes up quite often. And we're asked, well, where do these companies and these organizations come from? And so I want to focus in 5 areas. One that most recently we've embarked on this semester is interacting with our business intermediaries. And we'll talk a little bit more about who those are in a sec. But this is one of the newest ways that our team has been working towards working with other community partners and other organizations that can open doors for us for certain companies that maybe traditionally don't consistently recruit from community colleges. And so it's been a great way for us to partner with some of these companies in the region to bring about employment opportunities and work-based learning opportunities for our students. Our online job board. So for most of our employers, when they think of us and then maybe they don't know anyone necessarily and they land on our website, they want to post a job and they want to connect with PCC. If they don't contact one of us directly, they go to our Job Speaker online job board that we have on our Freeman Center website. All of our jobs, all of our employers are vetted through the system. We make sure that our job developer and our team is going through these to make sure that we have sustainable and legitimate jobs and internships for our students. We partner closely with our faculty, making sure that our faculty who are not only still engaged with industry, but many of them, of course, still have a foot in working in industry, are also introducing our Freeman Center staff to opportunities, mentors, and perhaps hiring managers in the industry that we can then help our faculty steward along in that process. We do our own outreach at the Freeman Center when our advisors and counselors are meeting with students and a student has a very specific need for a specific job or an internship. That's something that we may not have necessarily in the bucket at that moment. We proactively activate at that moment and we're reaching out to employers and alumni who could possibly make that match for students. And finally, I do want to give a shout out, of course, to Bobby Abram and her team. It's been a pleasure over the last year working with the foundation. They've been working with the Freeman Center very closely. They've invited myself and Jackie Javier and along with Salvatrice to be a part of their monthly business council meetings. The business council has been very active and has a great plan that they're putting in place for 2021 to really activate employer engagement with the PCC community. The last point I'll make on that too, on that back slide, is with our business intermediaries and with the foundation, it really, truly, I think it's a great illustration of how a career center being within economic and workforce development, we have quick access and you provide students that access in a much more timely fashion to industry. And we've been seeing that already with the support of the EWD leadership and how the center is really, really engaging with employers much quicker in a much more meaningful way and having that access. This here shows just an example of some of those business intermediaries that we are working with. The San Gabriel Valley Economic Partnership has already been very active with us this fall semester in offering opportunities with local organizations, City of Hope being one of them, who attended our job fair, and some other organizations that want to partner for internship and full-time employment opportunities. Innovate Pasadena, we've been engaging with them as well as they can introduce us to the more innovative and entrepreneurial side of Southern California. Also working with Bixel Exchange, who of course is hosted by the LA Chamber. They connect our students with opportunities in tech and innovation. And finally, working with the Center for Competitive Workforce, which of course works with all the 19 community colleges in Southern California and providing workforce opportunities for students. So what do we do when we recruit the employers once they get to land on our desk, so to speak? Well, there's a few different ways that we engage our employers. And what's really important for us outside of just posting a job, as I like to say, we want to make sure that they're lifelong partners with the center, that they're embedded in everything that we do, and that they're embedded in the career preparation of the students. Many of our employers are hosting career workshops, mock interviews, resume reviews, industry guest speakers that they provide for our students. As of recently now, they're facilitating soft skills trainings also for our students, resume best practice, and now alumni talks. So these are all great ways to embed employers in what we do. Of course, our team is very well equipped to host many of these workshops, and we do that. But when employers are put in front and industry is put in front of our students, it really gives our students that access to hiring managers and people in industry. On-campus recruitment opportunities, of course, our most popular way of engaging employers through job fairs and internship fairs. We just hosted a very successful one this fall. We have information sessions, all virtual, for employers that want to have a more intimate one-on-one opportunity to talk to students about their organization. We do provide resume referrals as well to our employers. So when our employers come to us with a specific need, we help build that resume bucket. So that way we can go ahead and connect our students with a specific job. We also host employers for on-site interviews as well. And so we're doing this all virtually in this same setting, just like we would do if we were on site, so that they can interview students one-on-one, and we facilitate those for them. And of course, they engage with us through our Hire PCC, through our website, as I noted earlier, through our third-party software. Academic partnerships is something that's been popping up and very popular recently this last semester with a few employers. Lifeline Ambulance has provided skills training for some of our students. Kaiser Permanente has also offered skills training workshops as well. So aside from wanting to hire our students, and all of these organizations have posted jobs and said they want to hire our students, but they've gone above that and said, we also want to be part of the curriculum, part of the academic experience, which is wonderful. So SoCal Gas, for instance, who has a wonderful customer service program, very well-paid jobs for our students, they're willing to offer that training to embed that within our curriculum and offer that to our students as well. So all of these trainings that they want to be a part of also serves as a pipeline for employers, right? So they can get more skilled students right out of graduation. And this is just a snapshot of some of our more notable industry partners that have all engaged with us in one shape or form over the last, I would say, 6 to 12 months or so. So we're very excited to bring either alumni or employers, folks from all of these organizations, from various talks to career education opportunities, to hosting our, hiring our students for internship and full-time opportunities. Alumni engagement. So this is something we're very excited, like I said earlier, working with Bobby's team and Chris McPeak, the Director of Operations. And in the alumni world, often you're asked, why would you engage alumni? And most colleges and universities know that you really engage alumni for what they call the 3 E's, either for endowment, enrollment, or employment purposes. And for us at the Freeman Center, we're concerned with employment, of course. And so that's what's highlighted there in red. And that's why we want to engage alumni. We want them to give back to the college in the form of a work-based learning opportunity or a full-time job opportunity. So we're working closely with the foundation. We've invested with them in an alumni engagement platform that's powered by Graduate, now known as the PCC Alumni Network. We now have over 800 alumni that have registered. We launched a new monthly alumni talk series called Lancers Live. We've had 3 of those this semester alone, where we reach out to an alum that we feel has an exciting career path and a background, come on live online, talk to students, interact, and talk a little bit about their experiences. We've also created a new Freeman LinkedIn page in order to engage students and alumni in that virtual setting as well. And we want to invest more time and efforts into early career alumni services. So what happens with that student once they transfer, when they move on, or if they graduated from a certificate or an associate's degree program? We want to make sure that they're connected with us as they're entering the workforce, also so we build that lifelong partnership with these alums to PCC. All with the goal, of course, of, again, producing work-based learning and employment opportunities for our current students. And that right there is an example of our very first Lancers Live talk that we hosted early on in the semester. Wonderful talk by Elisa Chang, one of our alums from 08, who's an HR manager at Warner Brothers. She had moved on to UCI and has had a great career. And she talked to students about careers in entertainment and HR, and it was a wonderful conversation. So we'll be continuing to do those, doing those in the spring. So I'm going to turn things over to Jackie Javier, who's our work-based learning program manager, to talk about student engagement at Freeman.
Though we also want our alumni to give to our endowment too, right? We'll take the endowment.
Absolutely. That's why. So I'll let Bobby take care of that first one, I think.
Bobby won't turn down giving to the endowment.
Thank you, Jason, and good evening, everyone. I'm going to talk a little bit about our efforts around student engagement. There are 4 primary ways in which our students engage with us. And the first one is obviously through our one-on-one appointments. Depending on where the students is in their career development journey and what their specific career needs are, they can either meet with a career counselor, a career advisor, a job developer, or our internship advisors. So as you can see here, we cover several different topics during our appointment sessions. And another way that students engage with us at the Freeman Center is through our workshops. So this year, we actually expanded our workshop topics to ensure that the information we are sharing with students is relevant to current times. For example, our interviewing skills workshop was revamped to then focus on virtual interviewing, and so that students can feel equipped to deliver those virtually. We have also developed new workshops to focus more on soft skills, as Jason has mentioned, and introduce students to more experiential learning opportunities. And with the pandemic, as many other higher ed institutions, we certainly face some challenges, but we are happy to share that for our virtual events, at least, we have received above average registrations from our students. So this momentum really did inspire us to develop new programs, including mock interview day and our diversity career panel series, which I will touch upon in a future slide. And then lastly, the Freeman Center did relaunch its Instagram account, and over the course of the last few months, we nearly doubled in the number of followers. And through social media, we have hosted live Q&A sessions with students. I know Jason has been featured on there as a guest speaker to provide some tips, so that has been really exciting. And we have really leveraged our social media platforms to further promote various career opportunities. And I wanted to take this moment to give a big shout out to our communications team at PCC Lancer for cross-promoting our events on the main Instagram page. So thank you for that. And now on to work-based learning. So I came into my role last summer of 2019, and since then our work-based learning team has expanded so that we have a bigger capacity to serve our students and our faculty and our industry partners. So while our career counseling team plays a critical role in helping our students connect their majors to career paths, the work-based learning team really focuses on introducing students to experiential learning opportunities. And in the first 6 months of our working from home, the work-based learning team was able to engage more than 2,000 students in work-based learning, either through appointments, work-based learning focused workshops, events, and or internships. We have also engaged more than 100 faculty through professional development workshops or project collaborations, many of which have been facilitated through our partnership with Sheila Rose and the Career Communities team. We have also brought 25 new industry partners who have provided some level of work-based learning experience for our students. And we have also developed and implemented 11 new work-based learning programs at the college. Okay, let's see here. My mouse disappeared. I apologize. So I wanted to share this continual model because it does display the different ways that our students can engage in work-based learning. So part of our role as a work-based learning team is to capture the data for these different activities that we know are happening across the campus, thanks to our colleagues and even some of our student leaders who are facilitating some of this work. More specifically, the work-based learning team is focused on the expansion of the last two career development phases, which includes career preparation and career training opportunities. And as a result, we now have an internship program at the college, which enables students to gain academic credit for both paid and unpaid internships. And our internship program is student-centered in the sense that we provide one-on-one internship advising appointments. And through these conversations, which in my opinion are really critical to a student's internship success, we are able to share information that students may have not received before, such as, what does the process for participating in an unpaid internship look like, and how can they enroll in an internship course. And so through these appointments, we help students identify opportunities that will result in meaningful experiences, primarily by aligning their internship to their academic programs and their career paths. And of course, part of having a strong internship program for the college entails having the commitment of industry partners who share our same institutional values. So considering the disparities that exist around paid internships and knowing that our students of color are less likely to have access to internships in general, we have actively partnered with organizations in the last 6 or so months, organizations who are committed to hiring low-income and students of color so that they can then have access to paid internships. So automatically two organizations that come to my mind include Health Career Connection, an organization that I'm actually an alum of, and Inroads, who also participated in our internship fair this fall semester. And then lastly, our internship program truly would not be in effect without the support of our amazing faculty and deans. And I wanted to take this opportunity to give a huge shout out to a couple of folks, Dr. Kimberly Shediak, Dr. Kimberly Dr. Kimberly Shediak, which I already mentioned, Dr. Julie Quiotes, Dr. Micah Young, and Dr. Stephanie Fleming for championing this work and helping us with the development of our internship courses. And altogether, the work-based learning team, we continue to work with our lead faculty to provide students a network of support as they enter and complete their internship experiences. And really, I think that that's what makes this internship program unique. As a side note, we've received inquiries from students from other colleges who are really looking to participate in this internship program. So we know that there's a big need out there for our students to benefit from work experience education. So making an impact, really this is our goal, is to continue to develop work-based learning programs that will make an impact on a student's career trajectory. So, we want to help our students gain exposure to the world of work. We want students to gain access to working professionals. We want our students to have an opportunity to reinforce the knowledge that they're learning in the classroom by helping them make that connection to the workplace. And through work-based learning, students are also able to develop their technical and employability skills, all of which help a student become more employable in today's job market. And as a bonus, through work-based learning, we really want to boost students' levels of engagement in many different levels so that they can reach higher levels of self-efficacy. And in 2019, we did record over 5,000 interactions with work-based learning. And it's important for me to note that these numbers are not strictly from the Freeman Center. This is faculty and other colleagues on the campus who are leading this work, who have been doing this work for many, many years. And with that, I wanted to share that, we wouldn't be able to reach as many students or scale our work-based learning programs without the leadership and the support of some of our colleagues. So just to highlight a few, we work with the Office of Institutional Effectiveness to collect work-based learning data. And I wanted to give a special thanks to Tanisha, who really does play an instrumental role in helping us with our student outreach efforts. With her support, we're able to tailor outreach based on industry needs. If we get an employer that comes to us and asks for a very specific skill set or academic record, we work with Tanisha to be able to do that outreach. We also work with programs like MESA, who have been championing this work for many years. And they already provide amazing internship opportunities to students in STEM. And in that capacity, we support by providing some form of preparation or soft skills as a Freeman Center. We have worked with student empowerment groups to support with the recruitment of mentors. And we are also collaborating with student leaders. An example would be Ms. Kanchan Kar, who some of you may know. She serves as president of several student clubs, and she coordinates career panels year-long focused on computer science. And she plans networking events to help connect students to industry. And so she has come to the Freeman Center for support with that. And it's really just amazing to see our students take on those leadership roles. And last but not least, the work we are doing with the career communities and our academic deans really enables us to provide more professional development opportunities for our faculty around the topics of career and work-based learning, with the intention that 2-3 years from now, hopefully most of our students are receiving some form of work-based learning experience through their courses. So I wanted to talk also a little bit about how we as a center are addressing diversity, equity, and inclusion. So it's really awesome that we have Dr. Carrie Bolin on this call. One of the ways that we are integrating diversity into our work is through the development of a diversity career panel that we launched this semester. One of our internship advisors, Isabel Ochoa, led a diversity career panel series at PCC, and this semester we hosted 3. The goal of this program really was to bring professionals who identify as people of color or other marginalized groups so that they can share how the topic of diversity is addressed and navigated in the workplace. The 3 different diversity panels that we hosted this semester were Trabajo con Corazón, which means working with heart or passion, Beyond the Disability, and Being Native at Work. And next year, starting in January, we will relaunch this diversity series with topics that include women in the lead, code bridging, resilience and community, more than a model minority in honor of our API month, and then pronouns at work for our LGBTQ plus community. As far as equity goes, through Dr. Cecilia Rios Aguilar's research and the entire UCLA team, we now have data that informs us of the barriers PCC students, specifically Black, Latinx, and Asian Pacific Islander students face when declaring majors, identifying career paths, and even accessing work-based learning opportunities. So this institutional effort has really helped us at the Freeman Center identify areas of collaboration with other groups on campus. So it's been truly a really great thing to be invited to those spaces. And lastly, as we think about the inclusion component, we know that career development is just one vein of student development. So through our one-on-one advising and counseling sessions, we want to help students make informed decisions about their majors and their future career journeys, but also our goal is to make students feel seen and valued. So at the Freeman Center, students have access to an entire support team for all things career related, and we really do pride ourselves in meeting students where they are. And this is, I'm wrapping up this topic, so I'll turn it over to you, Jason, really quick. But I wanted to share the different ways that we have been reaching out to our students, our alumni, our staff, and our faculty. The Freeman Center sends out a weekly e-blast message to keep our PCC community informed about our upcoming events, workshops, and other career-related opportunities for students. And featured here is also the Alumni Network platform, which, as Jason mentioned, the foundation really is leading this effort, but we are supporting with the recruitment of alumni and keeping them engaged through the Lancers Live events. And we are also leveraging our social media platforms, which big shout out to PCC Lancer, as you can see there, they're always liking our posts, so thank you for that. And then we actually recently started sending out work-based learning focused e-blasts. And the purpose of that is to also inform students of opportunities that are happening in our local community. So these may not be PCC hosted events, but local events that they can still benefit from, such as, internship fairs, shadowing experiences, internships, and scholarships. And now I'll turn it over to Jason.
There we go. All right, so almost there. So outlook, what do we have going on for the next year and 18 months to 24 months or so planned at the Freeman Center? We'll be working on in the spring on a new faculty professional development program, and that's something that we're partnering with others on campus. It's a need, and it's something that other colleges and universities do, and we want to have something established that helps others on campus, other staff and faculty have career conversations with students, and also handing that nice handover over the Freeman Center as well. So we'll be providing that in the upcoming year. We want to do more hyper-focused career community industry events, and we'll be starting with our first one early in the spring, an Art and Design Career Week. And so we'll be having more of those going on throughout the year. Our annual job and internship fairs will continue. We have our upcoming major fair in April, and then we'll have another one again next fall in 2021. We plan on putting together a Freeman Center career guide, something that we think it's time for us to have something that we can institutionalize and say this is the career guide, the go-to of Freeman Center for the students, so that they can have an extremely well put together resource of everything you can think of under career services. We look forward to putting together a Hire Lancer campaign. We've been focusing a lot on the marketing with the students in this first year, and now we want to take a closer look at how we're going to market externally the Freeman Center to our employers and our alumni community. Jackie and I are also working towards, along with our counseling team, a first-year, first-gen mentorship program for 21-22. We're really excited about that, something that we can, again, engage our hiring community and alumni community to be a part of this program with our first-year and first-generation students. Micro internship Lancer experience. I know something that Jackie's really excited about that her and her team are going to be launching in the future. They call it the MILE program. And I know she'll have more on that sometime in the future, but it's a new program that they're really excited about launching in the near future. And then a little further out, Freeman Center does hope to have a bigger presence in some of the other campuses outside of the Colorado campus, and with the satellite Freeman Center offices, and also apprenticeships. Apprenticeship has come up quite a bit, I know, and I know that Jackie's team is going to be working hard along with us at Freeman all together and providing a strong apprenticeship program, I should say, for students in the next year or two. And we wouldn't be doing our job if we didn't ask you to follow us, like we always do at the end of every workshop with students or alums. And so we'll do the same thing here. We're going to ask you to follow us on Instagram at PCC Freeman Career, or follow us on LinkedIn. Just look us up as PCC Robert G. Freeman Center for Career and Completion. And you can always keep up to date with all the great things that our staff, our amazing team. It's a much larger team than what you see here today that does some amazing work all year long. And so with that, we want to thank you for the opportunity to talk to you a little bit about what we're doing over at Freeman.
Great. Hey, thank you very much, Salvatrice, Jackie, and Jason, for that very comprehensive presentation and quantitative results that you're achieving at the Freeman Center. And I'd now like to open it up for questions from my fellow trustees. Any questions or discussion, please?
Yes, I do.
Trustee Waugh.
Yeah, so first I want to thank both Jason and Jackie's excellent presentation, and it really is very timely as the trustees on the board goals subcommittee have kind of been looking at what are indicators. So some of this you don't have to answer now, but you know, I think one of the things that's really helpful to know, we saw the stats that you presented of the number of students going in. So we keep asking, you know, well, how many of our students actually get the jobs, and where are those jobs? What are those industries? And then Jackie, you talked about looking at everything through a DI lens, which is exactly what we hope for. So what do we look at for lagging indicators so that we do close those gaps and we are making a difference in our communities? And then maybe a third one. So I have lots of questions, but I'll send them to you because I know this is kind of late, and it's this is the first time we've all seen the presentation, and I'd love to be able to get a copy of this presentation. But you know, we've talked often about how bring the industry partners to the table, and how have those industry partners helped us in academia more have that agility to respond and change our curriculum to meet the industry needs. I think that's something that would be helpful for us to know. How quickly can we turn the dime? Do the industry partners really, have we allowed them to help us influence some of this, how we deliver our education? So two things that came up during the week, this week, which I think were really great pieces of information for us to have. One was I saw that Dr. Kiotis from the business school just put in a certificate for data analytics, which I have long felt is an extremely burgeoning opportunity for people to go into as a job opportunity. But, you know, do we then counsel the students so that they know what those pathways are? What are those opportunities? What are the certificates? And then what do the wage outcomes look like for them? So I think that was really important. The other thing that the trustees just recently saw was a publication from the English department on the in-case publication. I did not realize that is a publication that has been that's been done since the 1940s, and I think we trustees probably haven't seen it very often. And I think because it's virtual, we had a chance to see it, and I thought it was really excellent. But the question is then, how do we utilize those kinds of projects or those kinds of work products that are happening under academia, and then have that count towards credit in the workforce? So those are just some general questions, and I'll write them all down, but I just wanted to throw this out, you know, and anything you want to respond to is fine.
Yeah, Jason and Jackie, do you want to respond to any of that now?
Sure, quickly. I think one thing that pops to mind, I think that pops out, I think the most, Trustee Wall, is when you talked about indicators. I agree with you. I think that's one of the first things when I came on board in April was, you know, what does our outcomes look like, right? And I know that traditionally maybe, I know we've measured that somehow at the state level. I know we have some numbers that we get from the state where they do some of those surveying. I know that we've done relatively well. I know I have some numbers here that are not on the presentation, but I know that Salvatrice had shared earlier in the year in some of her presentations on Perkins funding. And I know that the college has done relatively well especially in 2019, 2020, I think the state target was to employ about 73%, and the actual performance for PCC was at 82% of hires. And I think we exceeded that metric for CTE programming, right? So that's very specific, right? It's only for certain programs. I think that measures, if you can correct me if I'm wrong, Salvatrice, but I think that measured CTE graduates in that year and how well they did. And so we've been trending pretty well over the last several years. I'm looking at 72, 77, 79, 82%, where the state target has been always kind of in the low 70s. So that's one metric. But what I will say, one thing that we've talked about and we're probably going to do for 21, 22 is this idea, and a lot of the four-year institutions do that. I know the schools that I've came from have done that, where we do a 1 year out first destination survey. I think it would be great for our college to send something out a year out after students have graduated to kind of, one, I think it would serve the foundation, right, for alumni relations also to see where our students are at and what they're doing. But we could also get data from them as to where they're working, how much are they making, what are they doing, and doing those things a year out. And so, yeah, it's something that I think that we could do, and we can partner with Crystal and their team, and Tanisha, who's been amazing. Tanisha providing us all the data and all the information that we need. And I know she would jump on this project right away. So absolutely, I think there's a way to answer your question. That's something that I know Jackie and I are very passionate about seeing outcomes. And that's one that I think we can do to kind of hyper focus and zone in a little bit about, you know, where our students are at and what they're doing in a more timely fashion.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
Great. Trustee Brown, I see your hand up. You are next.
Thank you for a very comprehensive presentation. My eyes are always on the Friedman Center because, as you say in your introduction, that I wrote it down. I think you were let's see, where is it? Anyhow, it doesn't matter. Yeah. So as you were talking about how our goal is to close the gap career to completion, which is what we want to see happen to the students, and how you have engaged with so many employers. I saw maybe about 50 there. My thing is that, so we're engaging and we're trying, obviously. But what I would like to know is how effective is that happening with the students? You mentioned that you had engaged 7,228, but then we had 4,000 appointments for whatever that is. So I'd like to probably focus a little more and see if John Doe get engaged with the Freeman Center. How did they, end up? What did they achieve? I love to see all these 50 or 60 employers that you have connection with. I would love to see and learn exactly how are they helping our students. You mentioned about, we had several, I think you talk about, they prepare, some of them are training some of our students supposedly for soft skills, and which is great, because if you could have a student go over to a center where they can, shadow someone and prepare them and give them, that is great. And I think that is good. But also the gas company, City of Hope, all these other employers that you're working with, what exactly are they doing to bridge that gap for our students as they go through PCC and focus on their career? Where do they end? What's the end of this interaction? That's really what I would like to maybe eventually get. I think I spoke to Dr. Kyoto from that way. And I think that's the frustration, sort of, not too much. We're on the right path, but we need to see some results. We need to know, we engaged 500 students, and of those, we were able to cross the line with 300. these students did this. That's what I want to hear. How's that, Jason?
I'll chime in here
Go ahead.
because
Yeah.
Trustee Brown, I think that we are on the same boat.
Okay.
Part of what Jason and I have been working on, this past year in collaboration with our different staff members at the center is how can we tell a story? How can we show the student's journey? So, 3 years ago, it was a little bit of a different approach to data collection, right? Where we didn't have the platforms or the technology that we have now. Of course, through the support of EWD, we're able to now rely on different platforms, online job boards, work-based learning, which is new to the college. We're tracking a lot of that data so that even after, a student transfers or goes into the workforce, Jason and the foundation, with their work with alumni, can continue to do destination surveys. So our vision is that in the next 2 to 3 years, we could tell a story of, did a student engage in mentorship? Did they attend a career panel? And if so, which one? Did they make a connection? Did they intern? Did they find a job and land the job? So I think that that's part of our priority in terms of collecting that data, is being able to tell that story, the student success story.
Mm-hmm.
So let me just ask a little more, because I know that several different people would like us to believe that the data has to go to the chancellor's office. But I am kind of a little uneasy with that. I think if we know who our students are, and we could tell, I know we can tell if Berlinda got connected with how she's doing. I'm not sure that should be that difficult. So that's kind of the data that I want to see that's going on with our students, the workforce. Everyone wants a job. Our students come because they want to be prepared to get a job. And if we can offer all these wonderful things that we have here, we have internship, we have connection with employers, we have all this, then this should be a win-win for our students.
No, it is, and what I'll say one thing too is going back to, I think, what Trustee Wah talked about and what I mentioned about having you're right, is a way that we can collect data internally at PCC to get more real-time information for what our students are doing. I think it's very, very doable. Many colleges already do that. And that's really the best way at scale to get really good data, right? As opposed to tracking the 1 or 2 students or so that we know that connected with Apple or connected with so. And these are only the students. And here's the interesting part. Even though we say we engage 7,000 students, there's close to 30,000 of them. Right? So so even then we know that there's hundreds, if not thousands of other students who never even step foot, maybe perhaps at a career center. This happens at every college, and they're doing wonderful things. And so Jackie's job, and I'll speak for her, as I think where she's working really hard on her team as well, is really curating all this, where everyone's working, what everyone's doing. And the other day I met with one of my advisors who said, one of my students, Jason, just told me they got an internship at Electronic Arts. Because in gaming, I'm like, wow, that's excellent. And I think they're like a 1st or 2nd year student. They're competing with some very high qualified folks at EA. And so I immediately had them contact Jackie and say, hey, make sure you tell Jackie, because she needs to keep that track of that. So that's just one small example. But when I look at that, I go, okay, we know this is happening all over campus. And so again, I think having some type of a mechanism in place and working with our folks in institutional effectiveness and trying to put out something out every year to see where our students are at, not just the ones that we know that come into Freeman, but also the ones that we know that sometimes we just miss, but are going on and doing some great things. You're right. So we can come back to this group, and not just to this group, but to parents, right? To hiring managers, to the rest of the community, and say, here's what our students are doing, how much they're telling us they're making, did they get an internship? And there's ways for us to track that, right? By asking the students, did you meet anyone at the center? Did you attend one of our events? And then knowing where they're at, and we'll be able to have all of that information. So yeah, that's what we're working towards too. I'm pretty confident we'll do it.
That would be wonderful. Thank you.
I mean, really what you're trying to do, if I'm understanding this correctly, Jason and Jacqueline, is that you're really trying to start measuring impact. Right. I mean, you're just getting started, and it takes about 3 years, I think, to really kind of see what the ROI is on the type of technology, platform, people, resources that you've been investing in the center. So, I think that what we're looking at is, what is that impact going to look like? I mean, certainly engagement is one, it's one measurement that you can look at. And then it's going to be what the output is going to be. So, I mean, I see you're starting on it already. And I know that you've actually had Bank of America, as one of your presenters. And one of the my colleagues over at Bank of America, Blanca, she used to work with you, Jason. And so she
That's
said
exactly
that
who came on board, actually. Oh, how fun.
Yes. So I told her, you need to be involved. You need to be there,
Yeah.
So, so she had really good things to say about the process.
Oh, that's
and
great.
So I do see this as scaling up the effort, and that year after year that we will see more of the results from the center.
You're absolutely right. And that's a great, thank you for sharing that. That's one example of reaching out to a network of organizations to change it up and give the students that access. And you're right, it'll take a couple of years to start moving the needle. But we're doing it faster than what we thought. I mean, we were able to bring on Nike this semester, who's never come to PCC before. And so we had the local regional recruiter for Nike come on and talk to students about the same types of internships and opportunities they would be talking to students about at a four-year college, right? And so we have Riot Games who's already signed up to come to our art and design career week, again, where they've never visited a community college before. And she said, okay, I'll come out to PCC virtually and we can talk. So I think that's what Jackie and I are trying to do, is who can we grab out there to come out here and take a look at us who traditionally hasn't come out here, that can help us move the needle with the students. And we're seeing it. So we're really excited about it.
So I'm looking forward to seeing that needle move.
Do we have any other questions or comments on the Freeman Center report that we just received?
Well, I just have one other comment, if that's okay. Oh, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
Tammy, did you want to say something? Oh, okay. So let me just throw this out because, so finally, after 10 years, San Marino is moving forward on dual enrollment. But, one of the things I hope for the districts and South Pasadena included is they are interested in the CTE opportunities, and dual enrollment is something. I think if we can connect that dot. So I know one of the areas that Dr. Wilson they finally are focused on is the medical pathway, and there's great interest in the community in that pathway. And I think even if we can start the thinking in the community as early as high school, or even, and we're even talking about middle school, we can help connect. We can show that PCC has these resources. The Freeman Center brings these resources into our community, and then we can connect the dots even through something like dual enrollment. I think that would be really important. So it's just something to throw out to you to think about.
Thank you. We'll work with our offices and our deans to continue that momentum.
Okay, thank you again for that report. Any final questions or comments for our presenters? Okay, thank you again. So we're going to move on to information item number 2, and this is an update on our DEI initiatives. And I've asked that we put this on our agenda each month to discuss, and we initially discussed the statewide work groups that a number of our trustees and now our superintendent are also involved in. But what we really want to do is expand that to the efforts that are being made on campus here. I know that different groups are working on DEI initiatives right here at PCC. Dr. Indra-Janis, is there any group yet that's ready to and would like to report out to the trustees on what they're doing on DEI initiatives?
Well, yes, tonight what I'd like to do is invite Dr. Matt Hennis to talk a little bit about what the Academic Senate is doing as they're reviewing their AP on faculty hiring.
Okay, great.
I know you're out there, Matt.
I am. Hi. So we looked at as Dr. DeJonis just said, on faculty hiring, and there's language in there that says that every faculty hiring committee should have at least one member from a historically underrepresented group. And we didn't think that that was really sufficient. And so the Senate is proposing, has approved a recommendation to propose, to change that language to at least 3 members of every faculty hiring committee should be from a historically underrepresented group. That's the most recent thing that we've done. But an ongoing project that we've got going, and it's a small group of faculty looking at it right now, but this group is looking at improving or increasing the proportion of our Black and African American students in particular at PCC through various channels, including improving the PCC's reputation among the Black community. And then future work would be to improve outcomes for our students of color as well.
Matt, thank you for that report. Erica, are there any other groups? I know that you have, maybe without them reporting out, you could just tell us what the different groups that you have on campus that are undertaking DEI initiatives.
Well, I think, well, from the administrative perspective, we are looking at our hiring AP as well. And what we're going to do is put into the AP the blind screening process that we've used now 3 times, first for our human resources director, then for our chief diversity, equity, and inclusion officer, and most recently for our vice president of instruction position. And that I did a write-up, or actually Vice President Blazinski did a write-up that I adapted and then shared with the CEO DEI initiative that I'm on that task force. And because all of the task forces, well, several of them are looking at hiring policies, I actually think, in fact, I'm pretty sure that we're a leader in the state in terms of adopting this. So what we need to do right now is make sure that our administrative procedure changes to match the process that we're using. So we are working on that. And then we also have a little bit later in my report, I'm going to be reporting on some of the work that's happening, for example, in the outreach office. And according to Tamika Alexander, right now we have 46 PCC staff, faculty, and administrators who are personally contacting more than 750 Black and African American students who were enrolled in fall 2020 to make sure that they get enrolled in spring 2021. And there are some other things like that we're doing. And I think as we go forward, there'll be more like that to report, more activities, more efforts like that. Also in the coming months, we'll have a report out on the professional development that we're doing, the work that we're doing with the USC Center on Race Equity, and how we're involved in their training on a monthly basis and how we're bringing that back to the campus. So we have a lot of stuff going on, but I think that's what we have for right now.
All right, thank you, Dr. Androgenis. And then I do want to also give this opportunity for those that are working on the statewide groups, if they have anything to report out on their work groups activities.
So Trustee Ossoing, first I want to thank you for always putting this on the agenda, making this a standing item. I use this as a model to the other districts about what we've done. I get a lot of ideas from other districts on what they're doing. And I think Dr. Androgenis is right. We are probably farther ahead than many districts. So one of the things I'd like to just maybe throw out, maybe this is something, Matt, you can think about, is it's really helpful to know where academic senate, where you might be, where our academic senate might be in terms of looking at the statewide academic senate recommendations for DEI and what they would be proposing. So just as Trustee Ramirez brought in the students and they looked at the student senate proposals for DEI and talked about how that what they saw was the alignment here in our own district. I think that's helpful for us to know then how do we translate what's happening at the state to what we can do at the district level. And then I think statewide, we will see more and more engagement. Our plan at the statewide level is to bring the stakeholders together. So HR has already raised their hand, the CIOs have already raised their hand, that they want to be at the table with us. And we're going to start building our toolkits together. And the toolkits are asking questions. What are the questions that need to be asked? What are the data points we need to look at to see whether or not we're moving the needle? And what policies do we need to really review to really see that we are addressing the diversity equity issues?
Okay, thank you, Trustee Waugh. Trustee Silver and Trustee Ramirez, if you want to report out on anything happening in your work groups, now's the time. We'll start with Trustee Silver.
All right, nothing substantive to report yet.
Okay, Trustee Ramirez.
Yeah, I just wanted to respond to some of the things that were mentioned. So one of the things we've been discussing in the CCL-CDI work groups is the involvement of students in these faculty hiring processes. And actually one of the things that have come out of these conversations is ACRO, the Association of Chief Human Resources Officers, has recommended a process for students to have a formal role in these processes. Because if we really want to tackle DEI and hire faculty that are reflective and responsive to the cultural needs of our students themselves should be part of that process. I just want to ask, is that something that maybe we could explore? Because I know it would deviate pretty far from what we've done historically, but we already do this for hiring administrators, and we have some pretty amazing administrators. So, and that's not to say that our current faculty aren't amazing, because they are. It's just a change we'd like to see.
So, David, I did have a conversation with Dr. Hennis about this when we met, and we talked about the value of having students involved. I think what we talked about was making sure that we figured out how students could be involved, but that it wouldn't overburden them too. For example, when I started in spring 2019, we hired 46 faculty that semester. And we know how busy students are. And so what we want to do is figure out what's the best way for students to be involved at the committee level. And I think the other thing too is that some of these hiring committees, they might get 200 or 300 applications to review. So is that something that's really realistic for a student to take the time to go through? And so how do we figure out how to make sure the student voice is there, but that it doesn't so overburden them? I don't have the answer. And I think some of the statewide DEI work groups are going to talk about this, because definitely the voice is important, but we also understand you're really busy too. So let's figure out what the best way is to get that voice in.
Definitely, yeah.
Okay, and then, yeah, thank you, David. And David, as I've mentioned before, is actually serving on 2 different work groups. I think he's on number 1, and he also is sitting in on group number 2. And I can tell you my fellow committee members on work group number 2 really appreciate the student perspective, and David knows a number of things that we've been working on. We've run past him, and the student voice has been very helpful. Work group number 2 broadly and quickly is working on first the revising our mission statements, coming up with, I'll call it a model mission statement that can then be adopted by all of the 115 colleges. And we're pretty far along in that part of the task, and those model mission statements and action plans are being drawn up, and they will be available, much like our model board policies that the league distributes. They'll be available for the local districts to look at and customize and adopt for their district. And then and we're now moving into part 2, which is EEO. And some of this, what I'm going to say, is semantics, and that is the words equal opportunity employment don't necessarily get us to full diversity, equity, and inclusion, because equal opportunity doesn't necessarily lead to the degree of diversity we'd like to see. So we're just diving into part 2 of that work group, and I'll report out as those efforts go forward. And again, the idea is to turn that into action plans for all the districts to implement. And I'm really proud of.
Trustee Osters?
Yes, go ahead,
go ahead.
please. Yeah, please go ahead.
Well, I was just going to add that the CEO work group, who has been meeting every other week, one of the things we talked about at our meeting yesterday, was that in addition to the EEO plans and focusing on that, we really need to focus on professional development. And again, I know that's one of the trustees' DEI task forces, because what the CEOs are concerned about is that, you know, especially right now with enrollments and the faculty obligation number being what it is, you know, we're not going to be doing a lot of hiring this year, possibly next year, depending on how things roll out. And so we really have to figure out how to focus on the faculty we have. And how do we make sure that we're doing adequate professional development of our faculty? How do we engage in classroom climate surveys and curriculum audits and all those kinds of things? You know, it's really challenging because we really need to be respectful of academic freedom and what faculty do in the classroom. And we have this imperative to meet the diversity, equity, and inclusion goals of the state, and also whatever the board approves at the local level. So I think there's a lot of great conversation to have going forward, and we're just kind of at the beginning and maybe in some cases in the middle of it, but still a lot to come.
Well, yeah, thanks for that report. And you bring up a good point, and that is we do need to have processes for employment of faculty and staff going forward that lead to diversity and equity and inclusion. But so much of our existing employment base is in place and will be for some time. We can't just rely on diversifying our new hires, but also training of all of our existing faculty and staff. So that's
right.
That's a good point. Okay, anything else on agenda item J2, which is our DEI initiatives? Okay, we are going to move on to J3, which is our superintendent president's report. Take it away.
Well,
Dr.
thank you.
Thomas.
Thank you very much. I am so glad, as I know a lot of you are really glad, to be wrapping up 2020. I will be ready to say goodbye to this year. So I just want to say a happy holidays and best wishes for a bright new year. Just so everyone knows, we're in the middle of finals right now. Our campus is open through December 23rd, and then we shut down starting Thursday, December 24th, and we start back up again, you know, in terms of the campus on Monday, January 4th, and our winter intersession begins on Wednesday, January 6th. So we will have a break in there, and I really hope everybody has an opportunity to rest and relax. This is the first time since 1994 that I will not be in Vermont for Christmas. We are not traveling. We are doing the responsible thing. I hope other faculty, staff, administrators are doing the same. We're all in this together, and so we'll be staying local. Can't believe it's not going to be a white Christmas for the first time in many, many years, but oh well, that's what it is. But I wish everybody a happy holiday. Hanukkah starts tomorrow night. We have Kwanzaa, we have Christmas, and Festivus for the rest of us. So we distributed nearly $4 million in CARES Act funding to roughly 6,000 students. Each award was around $500 or $600. And the emphasis was on students who will help our college reach our equity goals. The PCC Foundation is working with us to allocate additional money through scholarships they have a great emergency fund that they have built up. We have some very generous donors out there. And so we're just trying to make sure that students who need the help get funneled to the foundation to make sure that they get the help they need. So as you all know, I'm the chair of the California Community College Athletic Association Board. At its November 6th meeting, the board voted to approve the COVID working group recommendation, and that was that each district would decide how it wanted to deal with spring athletics by deciding to opt in or opt out of spring by December 18th. The presidents in the South Coast Conference, which is what Pasadena City College is in, we met last Wednesday, and we voted unanimously to opt out of spring 1. Now, what that means is all of the sports that were in the fall were, obviously we didn't have sports, and they were moved to a season in spring 1, so the first half of the spring. We have voted to opt out of that, and then we have until February 26th to decide whether or not we're also going to opt out of spring 2, which is the second half of spring, and those would be all of the sports that would normally happen in spring. The 3C2A has assured that any athlete who's currently enrolled will not lose their year of eligibility, so that's really important. Our decision was based on a lot of things. First of all, even the governor's own guidance for institutions of higher education. 3 weeks ago, I was on a conference call with Londe Ajosi from the governor's office, as well as interim director of the 3C2A, to discuss, okay, what are the testing requirements? How do community colleges safely engage in athletics? We literally had a conversation on Friday. By the following Monday, Londe had gotten back to us and said, you know, all that stuff we talked about, there's a hold on it. The reality is that athletics function partially by way of the state, but mostly by way of the county. And the County of Los Angeles has determined that there will be no community college athletics. As you can imagine, I've had many people reaching out to me saying, we need athletics, we need to help our students. I completely understand that. I've also had people asking me, well, I don't understand. Why can UCLA and USC have athletics? Well, the simple reason is that they are residential colleges, and those institutions have gotten dispensation to house their athletes, to engage in significant testing of their athletes, and we don't have that same opportunity. So for that reason, we have opted out of spring 1, and we will meet again on January 6th and February 3rd as a conference. The CEOs will, to decide what to do about spring 2. It is absolutely heartbreaking. It's about the last thing I would want to do is take away the opportunity for athletes, our student athletes, to compete, but we also have a greater responsibility to keep them safe. And so I'll keep you posted on that. Trustee Chen Lau had asked about what we were doing about marketing and reaching out to students at this time, especially because we are down 5 or 6%. We were in the fall, although we were better than the state average, so that's good. But that doesn't mean that we can rest on our laurels. So what we have to do is stay engaged. In terms of general marketing, we've had largely a digital campaign. We've utilized Facebook, Instagram, Google, YouTube, and we've done targeted marketing based on demographic and geographical locations. So we're doing that to stay connected and to try to get folks aware of what's happening, both our existing students as well as our potential students. In terms of our outreach, COVID has, of course, changed the way that we do outreach, but we haven't shut down. According to Tamika Alexander, who is our fabulous director of outreach, since the beginning of fall, we have had, the outreach team has served 3,300 students. Pasadena City College is hosting 46 virtual application workshops in December for students who are applying to come here in summer and fall. I've already mentioned the fact that 46 PCC staff and faculty and administrators are contacting 750 Black and African American students enrolled in fall to make sure they re-enroll in spring 2021. We have monthly information sessions that draw crowds of roughly 200 attendees. We also have virtual drop-in hours to answer questions for students, and we've also we've located some folks in instruction, some classified staff in instruction, as well as in the health center to help out in our virtual support center, as well as in A&R and in financial aid. We have had more than 50 inquiries for our new partnership with Cal State Los Angeles, which, just to remind everyone, students can earn a business bachelor's degree from Cal State LA here at PCC. And that is a great offering for those who want to reduce their expenses, but still earn a 4-year degree. Natural sciences, very exciting. We have students who are seeing their work go to the moon. 4 of our students worked on the Lunar Trailblazer, a NASA project to survey water on the moon. We have internships during development and planning of the project, and they are aiming for a 2025 launch date right now. Our 4 students who are involved are Winnie Zhang, who is computer information systems major, Emily Felder from geology, Hongyu Kui from design, and Liberty Loxton from engineering and technology. Giving Tuesday was this last Tuesday, December 1st, or a week ago. The Pasadena City College Foundation collected $18,000 that day. I contributed. I hope you all did too. We expect the final tally to hit our $25,000 goal, and I want to thank you to everyone who has supported our students. As a reminder, although if you're in Pasadena, you know this, this past Monday, Victor Gordo was sworn in as mayor of the city of Pasadena. So we want to offer congratulations to this amazing PCC alum, our very own, and also congratulations to new city council member Felicia Williams. And finally, the Pasadena City College speech and debate team has had much success at the fall championship. Overall, the college placed second in the sweepstakes out of 40 colleges competing. 11 students earned recognition out of 16 events, out of 16 who competed, and many of them won gold, won silver, and did amazing work. So congratulations to them. You will recall that in the spring of 2019, you did a special recognition for excellence, as well as having the team having won a perpetual award for coaching. And we have several folks, Stephanie Fleming and others, who contributed to that. So we got a lot of great stuff going on out there. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Dr. Androgenis. And we're now going to go to announcements by our shared governance representatives and then the Board of Trustees. And as usual, we'll start with Associated Students, and I see Mackenzie Rivera out there. Mackenzie, are you ready to report in?
Yes, I'm ready.
Okay, take it away, please.
Great, thank you. So last week, Associated Students held our last in-person events for the semester. We had a giveaway for students where they were able to pick up or receive by mail a relaxation pack for finals. So we had some new AS merch we haven't had before. We had beanies, we had some candles, hot chocolate, just little things to help students get through finals week throughout the week. We actually are also currently in the middle of our finals relaxation week events. So far, besides having some daily Zoom study sessions for about a 3-hour range, we have been hosting a time management workshop hosted by Jordan Orozco. We have held a yoga session, guided meditation, and tomorrow we will actually be hosting a Discord game night from 7 to 9 p.m. And Friday we'll be having a virtual holiday hangout, so you can go ahead and meet other students and your Associate Students Board. And you're all, of course, welcome to come and check out all of these events. If you want more information and any of the Zoom links and information, you can find that on our Instagram at myaspcc. Other than that, that's all I have for my report today.
Thank you, Mackenzie. And next we go to Classified Senate and Ernesto Partida.
Good evening. Yes.
Take it
Thank
away,
you,
sir.
Trustee Osterling. Good evening. Quick report for us today. Classified Senate has been working on discussing APs and BPs since our last board meeting, specifically one about professional ethics for all classified staff. We hope to move them along and have them in front of the board in the new year, sorry, which is also the next year. We have also been working on new ways to have our committee representatives share their ongoing work across campus to the Senate, and also are going to be sharing our end of the year newsletter next week. And our last meeting of the year is next week as well. And lastly, I just want to wish all the board trustees and all of us on our call and on YouTube safe and restful holidays.
Thank you, Ernesto. Management Association, Carlos, Tito, Altamirano. You
Yes,
are up, sir.
Yes, hello, good evening. No, thank you. I'd like to start by thanking Dr. Juni for his service to PCC and wish him well in his retirement. The words of our colleagues who are part of the management team in instruction are a testament to the lasting impact his work and character have added to our college. And I'd like to also take this time to welcome Dr. Laura Ramirez to the PCC family and look forward to working with her. And as we close out the year, members of the Management Association are continuing the focus on shared governance and specifically the goals of College Council, which include implementing the Chancellor's Office call to action, completing a review and update of the governance guidelines, and lastly, developing and implementing a philosophy of participatory and responsible shared governance. And while this year as a whole has presented both challenges and opportunities as we move through this pandemic, I want to give heartfelt thanks to the members of the Management Association for their ability and willingness to support our students, staff, and faculty, as well as their fellow administrators in continued and unwavering ways. In addition, I'd like to thank the MA as a whole for supporting me in this role throughout the year and hope that the next year is better in every single way. Thank you and enjoy your evening.
Thank you, Tito. Academic Senate, Dr. Matt Hennis.
Hi. First, I'd like to say, the Academic Senate has adjourned for the year. We have had our last meeting, and we did have the opportunity as a Senate to say goodbye to Dr. Juni. I'd just like to take just a moment to say I wish you all the best in your retirement, and I hope that you get to spend more time with your family than you had dreamed possible. And I echo Tito in welcoming Dr. Laura Ramirez as his successor. The Academic Senate will welcome her as well, but by that time she will have been here for several weeks anyway. As you know, we're knee deep in finals week, so faculty are, none of them are answering their phones. They're all busy working on finals. But to their credit, the Academic Senate did meet 2 weeks in a row. We usually meet every other week because we needed to approve credit for prior learning AP to be in line with legislation. Dr. Esegeda and her team put that together, but the Senate was willing to engage in that discussion, and I had to add an extra meeting for that, and it was very well attended. So props to them for their engagement. And finally, during that last meeting, we passed a resolution regarding the use of webcams in synchronous Zoom sessions. And it's the crux of it is that we have recommended a webcam optional policy on the part of instructors if they are having synchronous Zoom sessions, recognizing students' need for privacy and the equity issues that requiring cameras raise. That does it for my report. I wish everybody happy holidays.
Great. Hey, thank you, Matt. And also thank you for your report and what you're doing on DEI and particularly to strengthen your search committees. Thank you very much and happy holidays to you too. We're now going to move to the Board of Trustees. And as always, we'll start with our student trustee, David Ramirez.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. I don't have anything to report that Mackenzie hasn't already said, but as we conclude half of the school year, I just want to thank everyone on this call, all the faculty and staff and students who are pulling through this. I think many of us expected to have this be over by September, but here we are. And there's an end in sight to all this. We just need the FDA to hurry up and approve that vaccine. Thank you all for all your hard work from all of our departments, and especially our student services. With the resources that we're limited to, and so many students have gotten the services that they need. And thank you for providing an easy way for students to alter their grades if they've experienced significant hardships during this pandemic. We see all that you're doing, and I couldn't be more grateful to be virtually surrounded by so many people that are just as passionate. I'm looking forward to this next semester, and I hope that we'll continue all the good work. Also, welcome to Dr. Ramirez. You have a very nice last name. Thank you.
Long lost relative, David. Thank you for that report. Now we're going to go to the trustees, and we're going to do this as you guys appear on my Hollywood Squares screen. So I know the order, but you don't. And in my upper left is Trustee John Martin. You are first, sir.
Thank you. Just express my appreciation to the Rosemead City Council, who last night unanimously supported a resolution to the El Monte Union High School District in support of PCC Rosemead. And all the council members spoke of great affection and admiration towards PCC and their personal experiences. Many had personal experiences at PCC and PCC Rosemead, either themselves or their family. So I do appreciate the council for taking that action.
Thank you, John, and thank you for your considerable efforts to save PCC Rosemead. They're greatly appreciated. Next up on my screen is Trustee Silver. You are next, Tammy.
Just because it's the year end, I'm reflecting on where I was this time last year. I didn't know you, I was not here, and how delighted I am to be a part of this team. The leadership of PCC is awesome. From everybody I've worked with, the hearts and minds of all are really focused on student success. I think we have an institution that has the right priorities, and I am so happy to be part of it. And thank you all for welcoming me so kindly. Wishing all of you a happy and peaceful and healthy holiday season.
Very good.
Thank you, Tammy, and thank you for the way that, and I remember myself not that long ago as a new trustee and having to go up that steep trustee learning curve. You have dived in head first and really committed yourself and worked hard, and I've seen you very quickly go up that learning curve. So thank you, and we appreciate your efforts. Next on my screen is Trustee Chen Lao.
Hi, everyone. I want to echo the sentiment of wishing everyone happy holidays. Hope that you all have a great start to the holiday season. The work is not done yet because I have an announcement to make. Next Thursday, there's going to be a discussion, a public conversation with Christian Griffith. Christian Griffith is the chief consultant to the Assembly Budget Committee, and we're going to be talking about the impact of COVID-19 on the state's education budget 2021. I'm really excited to have Christian and the co-hosts here, Michelle Richardson Bailey, board member from Pasadena Unified School District, and Carolyn Q. Anderson. She's the newly elected board member of La Cañada, to join me in this discussion with Christian. Christian is responsible for overseeing the drafting of the state's budget, which is $156 billion. And I felt like it was important for us to have a conversation with Christian so that we can get a heads up from him to see what's to come. So he's going to give us a peek into what the budget is going to look like in 2021. and it's really great to have this be available to students and parents. So I hope that you will all be able to join us. And thank you to David Ramirez, our student trustee, for reminding me to post this on social media. Besides Facebook, which will give you my age, I'm at a loss at Instagram and Twitter. So I hope that the students can help me forward this to students and fellow employees. And thank you so much to Alex and his team for getting this beautiful flyer out. I really appreciate it. And again, I wish everybody a happy holiday season, but hope to see you on the 17th. Thank you.
Sandra, thank you for organizing that event. That's very helpful in these times of great budgetary uncertainty. So thank you for organizing that and co-hosting it. Next up on my screen is Trustee Berlinda Brown.
Yay. Well, I don't have much to say, no report, but just want to wish you guys happy holidays. Stay safe, stay home, stay warm.
Thank you, Berlinda. Next on my screen is Trustee Anthony Fellow. Tony, take it away.
Thank you, Jim. You know, tonight, Dr. Junie, who I'm going to miss very much, he's a consummate professional, talked about the wonderful faculty at PCC. And I'm very happy to report that I finished my first class at PCC. First time I took a class there, and he's right. I had one of the most wonderful faculty members, Dr. Rita D'Amico, in Italian, and the class was wonderful. And I have to tell you, I competed with 15-year-olds. So I remember doing homeschooling, and they're bright. And this one girl who was one of my, when we got paired together, one of my classmates, is going to be a great doctor someday. 15 years old. I was amazed. She's just brilliant and gave me a run for my money. But the faculty at PCC is outstanding. I've always said that, and I'm glad I got to witness it. And I can't wait for school to start. I had so much fun. And so thank you, PCC, and Merry Christmas to all of you, and Happy Hanukkah. Thank you.
Thank you, Tony. And last but not least, Trustee Linda Waugh.
Yeah, I do want to thank Dr. Junie, and I know you're going to really enjoy your retirement, and you moved to a wonderful area. It's very beautiful. I actually took a train over there. So enjoy your time with your family, and thank you for everything you did. And I also want to thank all the faculty and the staff at PCC. This is finals week. I just finished my finals. Oh my God, that was really gruesome.
Can you do Beethoven yet?
Yes, I actually did. That was one of my final pieces.
I want to hear you.
Oh, it's not very good. In fact, I immediately deleted all of my YouTube videos after I submitted them for my exam. But anyway, yeah, definitely. I think that the staff and the faculty have really shown just their excellence in teaching and really a heart for what the students are going through in virtual learning. And yeah, I just really want to appreciate them. But I also want to thank you, all of my fellow trustees. So I am now one of the new ACC2 directors. So for the Pacific region. So I know, Jim, we should be getting together and really strategizing the Pacific region elections, which will be coming up in January. And I hope I will see all of you at the legislative conference for the CCC, the league, the end of January. And then almost immediately following that, February 8th to the 10th, I think, is the National ACCT Legislative Conference. So I hope to see you at all of that. Thank you.
So Linda, you're very humble, and we appreciate your prior service as the head of our statewide organization. And what she announced in a very low-key way is that Linda is now on the board of directors of our national organization. And congratulations, Linda, for that. And again, we appreciate all the service you do, not just the PCC, but at the state level and at the national level. And we, PCC, benefit from all of your service. So thank you for that. My report will be brief. I've asked so much of all of my fellow trustees, and every time I ask them to volunteer for something, they do so willingly. And I've gone back to the well again. The death of Eddie Van Halen and other things have caused the need for another ad hoc committee. We've also been the beneficiary, and it was just announced recently, of a major gift from one of our primary benefactors, Adelaide Hickson. That and other things create a real need for us to look at our naming approach to naming and our naming protocols, and the need to form a committee to do that and work closely with the PCC Foundation. And I asked Trustee Berlinda Brown if she would participate in that effort, and she agreed. And I also asked Trustee Silver if she would do that, and she agreed to do that, and also to lead that ad hoc committee. And they'll be reporting out on their progress as we move along. And I will also serve on that committee. That concludes my report, other than just to again, this is our last meeting of this most unusual year of 2020, and what everybody had to do, trustees, administration, staff, faculty, to pivot and continue to deliver education at a high level as best we possibly could under very difficult circumstances. It's a credit to the institution. Also this year, quick year in review, I see the three-peat banners on Erica and Linda's background screens. Unprecedented to be an Aspen top 10 for a three-peat 3 times in a row. So even in these times of challenge, PCC, stands out, and it's been a interesting year, but it's been a pleasure to be part of this institution and be part of something that rose to the challenge and did the best that we possibly could under very trying circumstances. So Erica, again, thank you to you and your staff for all you did to keep excellence continuing at PCC.
Well, the staff, faculty, and administration, that's why it happens.
Yeah, and thank you to everybody. We're going to move on to the next agenda item, which is proposed future board business meeting dates. And I think we have some schedule conflicts with conferences for a retreat, and that needs to be rescheduled. Erica, do we want to deal with the logistics of that now, or through email and getting that rescheduled?
Yeah, so I'm going to have Mary Thompson send out a new doodle poll. Unfortunately, the date that we have it right there scheduled, January 26th for our winter retreat, it turns out is one of the afternoons of the CCLC conference. And it would be one thing if there were sessions, but there are actually caucus meetings that afternoon. And Linda Waugh and several of you are on various caucuses. And so it wouldn't be possible for us to have the meeting and still do what we need to do. So we will send out a doodle poll and try to get a retreat scheduled as close to that date as possible. So be on the lookout for that.
The only good news is nobody's going anywhere. So hopefully it shouldn't be too hard to reschedule, I hope.
Exactly.
Yeah, so thank you to all the trustees for your flexibility to reschedule that important retreat. That's it for proposed future meeting dates, right? No, everything else is status quo. Thank you. All right. Next item is proposed future agenda items. Any? Very good. Now we now come to our favorite part of this meeting, and that's the adjournment. And again, happy holidays to everybody, and stay safe. We can see the light at the end of the tunnel, but we all need to continue our safe practices for a while longer. So enjoy your holiday as best you can with those restrictions. And this meeting is adjourned. Have a good evening.